Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Web3 Deep Dive Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Wolfson. Today I've got a great interview lined up for you guys. I am speaking with Javier García. He is the country manager of Spain for Binance, which if you guys don't already know, Binance is one of the largest and most well-recognized exchanges in the entire world. So I'm very excited for this interview with Javier. We talk all about Binance, their plans for the future. We talk about stablecoins, tokenization of real-world assets, institutions coming into the crypto industry. So this is a great interview, and I encourage you guys to watch it in its entirety to learn all about what's next for Binance in the crypto space. Okay, before getting started with today's interview, I also want to take the time to remind you guys to like and subscribe to the channel, especially if you enjoy the content that you're seeing today. Be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and you're going to stay up to date with everything. Okay, without further ado, let's get started with today's interview. Hi, Javier. How are you?
Hello, Rachel. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for joining Web3 Deep Dive Podcast today. I'm so excited, and we are in Paris filming, which is awesome. So Javier, tell me a little bit about yourself, your background, your role at Binance, and then we can go into some other questions.
Well, my role at Binance, I'm the lead of the Spanish market. It's an intersection between keeping up the business and also the regulatory part, and making sure that we adapt the platform to the needs of the Spanish users.
Okay, got it. And how long have you been at Binance?
I've been 3 years.
Wow.
Already,
okay.
So it's been a very good time.
Yeah. So for our listeners who may not be familiar with Binance, can you explain what Binance is, what they're doing, and all that?
Binance is the blockchain ecosystem that happens to have the largest exchange in the world with largest also volume. We have 275 million users, which is right now the largest exchange in the world. And the important part that we see right now at Binance is that the growth in terms of users have been really phenomenal. We see a very big momentum because basically it took 5 years for Binance to reach the milestone of 100 million users. And the second 100 million users came in 27 months. So this is a very good momentum, and intends to give you just a hint of what it looked like if from 2024 up to now, we onboarded 80 million users, which is like 1.8 users per second. So it means that per day, we are onboarding the whole neighborhood of Williamsburg in Brooklyn per day.
That's amazing. I mean, Binance is one of the most well-known, biggest crypto exchanges in the world. So I'm just super excited to be speaking with you today. Now, you mentioned that you're the Spain country manager. So does Binance have country managers for different regions?
Binance cover about 100 countries, but we are regulated at least in 21 countries in the world. So in those countries in which we can be regulated, we are. In Europe, we are regulated in Spain, France, Italy, Sweden, and Poland and Lithuania. And it's true that we have, I would say, at least one country per continent. So to that extent, the compliance part is very important for us. And right now what we see is there is a good momentum also in the market in that front. We see that in Europe, the MiCA is applying since last year. Mm-hmm. And we are looking forward to work in that regime as well. And we see also the big momentum that we have in the US with different acts that are coming.
So Binance is MiCA compliant. Is there a license that Binance has for MiCA or yes?
Right now, we are working in order to have that the MiCA license.
Okay.
And in that front, we are operating with the BAS regime because the MiCA allows you to have a grandfathering period until you get that license, and we are currently working on that.
Okay, great. And then have you always been in the crypto and blockchain space before starting with Binance? Were you in this sector, or was Binance your first entry into blockchain?
I was new to crypto when I joined Binance because my background is more engineering, product. I was working in fintech and also digital banking in the past 15 years, developing like P2P apps when the smartphone start back in the day, and also adapting the banks into the digital banking arena. So for me, it was a new experience stepping into crypto. It's true that before joining Binance, I fell into the rabbit hole in during the COVID time,
Okay.
and it was through that moment when I see that there's a huge potential, and the good thing is that there's always something new to learn.
Right. Definitely. Okay. So tell us a little bit about some of the trends you're currently seeing in the Web3 sector and how that's being applied to Binance.
So to that end, it's true that there are, would say, three main categories right now. The first one is about tokenization of assets. The second one is about stablecoins, and the third one is about the momentum in the regulatory front and the mass adoption. If we see about the tokenization, the real world asset has become in the main theme. In the sense, we have started this year with 9 billions, and in less than 6 months, is 25 billion in that market. And it's not only that is the own industry that is moving that pace forward. We also see that we have BlackRock bringing the largest fund with 1.9 billion and growing. And also we have seen lately that even JP Morgan is working in that front with mixing Chainlink and Ondo in order to make sure that they can make projects in real world assets. So this is a very big theme. There's also a second part regarding to stable coins. This is the year of the stable coins. 2020, it was 20 billion in stable coins in the world. Right now, 250 billion in stable coins. So exponential growth in that area is very also important. The fact that in the US, with the act that they are working, they are bringing this clarity in order to make sure that every different stakeholder in the ecosystem, banks, even crypto, they have more clarity in order how to gravitate towards this Genius Act that is looking forward to be ready by the end of July, they say. It's true that Binance, we are not a US company. We don't have US users, but it's very important to make sure that what US does, and with this new administration that is crypto friendly and is giving attention to crypto, is also make the rest of the world understand having this view. And also regarding the regulatory framework, we see here in Europe that we have MiCA. In Middle East, there's also regulatory frameworks regarding crypto. The G20 is also working in order to harmonize all these new digital asset class category all over the world. So this is very important because at the end of the day, our goal as Binance is bringing this milestone of 1 billion users onboarded into crypto. So it's good that with these new regulatory regimes, you can onboard users that have exposure to these assets that previously they were not considering even.
Let's talk about stable coins because I agree with you. Like, this is the year of stable coins for sure. Why do you think that's the case?
So basically, stable coins it gives the use case of being backed by dollars. At the end of the day, a stable coin is the digital reflection of in this case, a stable coin of dollar is the digital reflection of a dollar in the realm of digital. So normally the dollar is a fiat currency, and then you have the stable coin, which is the reflection in the digital realm of the dollar. So it's very important because if in order to move in the blockchain ecosystem the dollars, you need to make sure that they are done into stable coins. What can you do with those dollars? So what we see is that there are companies like Circle that at Binance we have partnered with Circle in 2024 just to make sure that USDC, which is the stable coin of Circle, is embedded not only for trading but also for other different use cases. Let's say that you want to pay in a shop, and in an online shop, you can pay USDC rather than dollar, and it goes through your wallet and it comes instantly to the retailer. So now it's cutting the middleman in that in traditional finance. It takes time even to settle that money in the sense that I pay you, let's for example, with my card, and that takes time until the merchant receive the funds. So now with stable coins, it's faster, it's real time, and it's also a fraction of the cost. So it's about efficiency.
Right. And then how many stable coins does Binance support? I mean, I'm assuming like all the main stable coins like USDT, USDC.
So it's very important to bear in mind that depending on the region, there are some limitations. For example, in Europe with MiCA, USDT is not fully compliant of MiCA. So to that front, we have adapted the platform to make sure that we are MiCA compliant. Whereas in other markets in which you don't have that limitation, is USDT, USDC, FDUSD as well. So
What's that one?
FDUSD is another stable coin from Asia.
Okay, interesting.
And is also again back one to one and it has a very healthy ecosystem as well in that part.
What are your thoughts on the evolution of stablecoins? So I recently spoke with Reeve Collins, the previous co-founder of Tether, and he was talking about yield-bearing stablecoins. What are your thoughts on that?
That is a very interesting use case because at the end of the day, as you are backing that dollars with treasuries, for example, those treasuries that can generate yield. So if you can transfer that yield into the user that holds that stablecoin, is another use case because at the end of the day, it's not only about trading and having the pair of Bitcoin and USDT is also, or USDC is also about, okay, now that I hold that asset, what can I do with that? You can earn yield by putting into earn, or you can also apply to different other scenarios in the sense that I can program my stable coin in order to, depending on what event, I can buy it or sell it.
Definitely. Okay, let's talk a little bit about tokenizing real world assets. So like the stable coin is tokenizing the US dollar, but what other real world asset tokenization are you seeing and just like the use cases you find most interesting?
Right now, it's true that the most reliable in terms of volume, we see the US Treasury. It is like 36% of all the real world assets are around that use case. We also see loans as well that are also being tokenized, and also real estate as well are also part of the mix. Because at the end of the day, what we see in terms of trends that are happening now is that whatever happens online has a better version on chain. So there are gonna come new ways and new use cases in real asset tokenization that are gonna come into the ecosystem. Because at the end of the day, what is important is that not the technology per se, is what you do with that technology and what problem are you solving with that.
Right. Is Binance working with institutions on like tokenization use cases or like educating regulators on how tokenization works?
Yeah, in that front, we are always willing to collaborate with different countries. We have been in conversations with Bhutan, for example, and we have deployed a Binance Pay so that when you go to Bhutan, you can pay with crypto, and this is the one of very good case of the stable coins in the sense that you don't need to bear in mind about exchanging your fiat. If you have stable coins, you can pay in the merchants with that. So that is a very strong use case, and we see many countries considering doing a digital version of their currency. But it also depends on the view of the different countries. So in that front, what is important for us is we are always open and willing to collaborate with whatever solution they want to put in their citizens' hands.
Right. I want to get your take on this. So you mentioned like crypto payments using stable coins. What are your thoughts on crypto payments using something like BNB, which is Binance's token, or like Bitcoin or Ethereum? Do you think that those assets should be held, or do you think those would also be good crypto payment solutions as well?
That is a good question because at the end of the day, that depends more on the view of the individual in order what to do with their assets. Because at the end of the day, if I'm living and if my full portfolio is on Bitcoin, at the end of the day, you also need to make it usable for your payments day to day. So in that front, it's good to see that on top Bitcoin, they are building up layers in order to make it faster, so they do not rely on the solely cycle of 10 minutes per block. So those solutions depend more on the individual, just what they want to do with their assets, but the technology is there for them to use it.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm more along the lines of like, I want to hold Bitcoin or BNB, and I'm very happy with making payments using a stable coin. So just personally, I think that there are some assets you should hold and some assets you can actually like spend, which is why stable coins are great.
That's a very good point of view. And also, for example, if you are holding BNB, and BNB, it has the utility of the different airdrops and launch pools. In that case, it generates some yield. Okay, with that yield, you can also spend it, and you can determine what to do with that yield. You can turn it into stable coins. So at the end of the day, is what is your mix in terms of portfolio? In the sense of how much do you have allocated into fiat, how much do you have allocated into crypto, and then in crypto, again, there's different flavors from different perspectives. Now we see that in the past year, even BlackRock is advocating for the traditional investors to allocate up to 2% of their portfolio in Bitcoin. So at the end of the day, it's more about your personal preference in order how to handle your portfolio. And the good thing is that the technology is there to help you.
Definitely. Okay, so we are seeing, you mentioned U.S. treasuries that are tokenized, and also like these treasuries that are investing in Bitcoin to put on their balance sheet, like the strategic Bitcoin reserve we see now in Texas, which is super exciting because I'm a Texan. Now, are there any treasuries that are using BNB as a reserve? I think I was reading something about there was something happening in China, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? And are there treasuries using BNB as a reserve?
That's a good angle, and now that we are recording this in this week,
yes,
there has been an announcement in order for a company to introduce into their treasury also the BNB, because at the end of the day is another use case. As I mentioned, the Bitcoin per se doesn't generate any yield. It's a store of value nowadays. It's true that you can do different strategies, but it's not why you hold it. Okay, you need to put it in the blockchain in order to make it work. However, it's true that, for example, what we can see is that with BNB, you have that use case of having yield. So that could be also something appealing for different investors that may consider that as a part of a diversified portfolio. They may see that BNB or Ethereum or another asset fits their risk criteria.
Right. Okay, shifting gears a little bit, I want to get your take on this. So right now in the United States, we're seeing a lot of these like crypto IPOs. And I think we're kind of in this like crypto IPO boom in the US, at least. Like, okay, Circle, I think, kicked it off, right? They had a very successful IPO. Okay, so the question is, are we seeing that in Europe? And also, I just want to get your take on crypto IPOs in general.
That's a good one, because I think it took everyone by surprise what has happened with Circle.
Yeah.
Because doing 6x in less than a month, it's been a long time since don't see that amount. And it also is putting in the market new type of multiples that you also going across the different companies similar like Tether, that also is bringing up like a way how to manage that. What we see in Europe, it's true that there are this with the adoption of MiCA, traditional banking stepping into crypto. We have seen it in France, we have seen In Spain, we have BBVA and Santander that they have in their playbook and in the roadmap delivering the service of buying and selling crypto to their customers. It's true that BBVA has been working in Switzerland for many years, and they have tested quite well. And indeed, BBVA, they right now recommending up to 7% of the portfolio in Bitcoin. So
Wow.
they are more risk taking that a BlackRock, but it's true that we'll see this trend coming once we have a more deployed ecosystem of companies. Because at the end of the day, it's true that if we see the weight that the stablecoin has from the fiat perspective, the main weight is towards dollar. So we'll see what we do in Europe and the weight of the stablecoins in euros. Now we have Yuri inside Binance, which is a stablecoin of euro,
Mm.
and it's growing in terms of market. It has more than tripled since we have included in the platform last year. So it's gonna take time because at the end of the day, for the user, in order to be adapted to this new way of denominating currencies digitally wise, but we see there is an adoption because at the end of the day, the use case is that you don't need to hold the FX risk because if you are in Europe, you live in euros. If you are in Europe, you live in euros. So changing into dollar, it gives you an FX risk that it makes sense for the Europeans to hold stable coins in euro.
That makes sense for sure. Okay, so with BBVA, that's a really interesting use case. Was Binance working with them, or did you help educate like people there to understand the benefits of crypto and crypto adoption, offering that to users?
We are always in conversations with the main stakeholder of the ecosystem because at the end of the day, our view regarding the crypto market is the more the merrier, because what we want is we want to lift off the boats with the tide because our goal is the massive adoption.
Right.
And you don't have massive adoption unless everyone gets to know what it is having Bitcoin or using Bitcoin or another crypto.
Right. So another important question I want to focus on here is Web3 security. And I know Binance is doing a lot in this area. And I even read, I think it was yesterday, that Binance just recently initiated or launched a program for like a crypto security program. I forgot the name of it. It was literally this week, but it's pretty cool. So I want to know about what Binance is doing to ensure Web3 security, what they're doing to ensure security of Binance, and just get your thoughts on that.
That's a very good point because at the end of the day, our main player in the market, we have also the responsibility to make sure that the funds of our users are safe, the safest that they can be. So in that front, we see different layers of security. Obviously, there is the security of the platform. So in that sense, just to give you an example, we hold most of the crypto assets in cold wallets. In terms of how to manage that, we use multi-sig, so there is no one single person that can move assets unilaterally. That cannot happen. We also bear in mind that our business is very simple in the sense that we get fees out of the trades of our users. So our goal is make sure that the assets are back one-to-one. So we back the assets of our users. We make sure that that holds and sits well. We don't hold debt neither. So in that sense, there is the security of our company be safe and sound from the financial perspective. And also we will never trade against our users. Okay. So that is the part regarding the platform. It's also very important to bear in mind that we are very conscious that hacks can happen. And Binance has built the Safe Fund, which is right now in the $1 billion, just in case of any contingency. There are funds just to make sure that there is a fund to back it up in case something happens.
Mm.
And it's also important to bear in mind that with the technology also comes new ways of operating, okay? Because with the proof of reserves, right now, anyone can see the amount of tokens that the user that Binance has in the wallets. So it's like, imagine that you can see real time, and you can open in the bank the vault, and you can see that everything is there. Okay, it's something that and it's something that happens in a minute. So every 10 minutes, that information refreshes. So it's real time. So imagine if this technology can be replicated everywhere, the impact that it can have in the market. So security is important in the platform. Security is also important for our users. We advocate and foster continuously programs just to our users be conscious that they need to be safe as possible, in the sense that use two-factor authentication, because at the end of the day, it's not only about having a password. In order to make sure that you do the operations, you need to have more factors just to make sure that no one can impersonate you, or you not fall prey of a scam.
Right.
So that is something that you know, something that you hold, or something that you are. Okay, so we encourage and we force, in order to do operations, to the users, they do this two-factor authentication.
Mm-hmm.
That's also relevant, that we all explain how to not fall victim of scams, in the sense that avoid the fact that someone is calling you in the name of Binance. We don't call you. We don't ask you for personal details. And this is something that every month we have different ways in which we show real cases, just to avoid those issues to happen. But it's also good that we are in contact with all the different law enforcement agencies, just to make sure that we help in order to avoid the scams. And indeed, last year, 1.4 billion were recovered due to our security team tracking all the funds and making sure that we make that coming back to the right user. And also, when there is like an errors when you send crypto from one wallet to another, there is also some ways in which we can help the users in order to recover those funds. Bear in mind that this is something not easy to do. You need to be very careful every time that you send money to a wallet. Make sure that you put all the data correctly, because at the end of the day, the good point of being sovereign individual with your crypto has also the responsibility to make sure that you do the things right.
So, yeah, no, I think it's interesting what you said, how you can like help recover user funds. And was it 1.4 billion that you said was recovered last year?
Yeah.
That's really impressive. But how would a user even go about that? I mean, is there some sort of a contact number if they have an issue, or how do they do that?
Yeah, in that front, it's very important that you contact our customer service, that is gonna provide the support that you need, just to make sure that what is in our hands and what we can do is something that we can help you.
Okay.
So that's very important, and it's also a very important aspect to bear in mind about how to manage the wills and the inheritance in exchanges. Because at the end of the day, this is a new technology, but it's been with us for 15 years already. So this happens, it's part of the life. So you need to make sure, and we work on that, having a process to validate that in case something happens, the proper heirs, they can claim the funds within the platform,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that we can do as we are an exchange, and that happens off chain. Okay, but those kind of things we need to take them into consideration, because it's like the bread and butter for traditional finance. But for us, we are continuously developing new ways in order to make sure that we have all the angles covered.
I mean, yeah, and it's obviously important with institutions coming into the sector now to have these security measures in place. You know, we can't just have this be the wild, wild west like it previously was. And if you lose your funds, it's all over. So it's really good to hear that Binance is doing that as well.
Yeah, and we are proud to say that we have within Binance the brightest security minds in the world.
Right. I mean, Binance has been around for a very long time. I don't know how long. How long has Binance been around?
We're gonna make 8 years
8
next
years?
month.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, it's a good story because it started in July 14th,
Okay.
2017,
Okay.
and in less than 6 months, indeed, it was in Christmas 2017. Binance grew to and it reached the leadership in terms of trading volume, and it's been number one since then. Because at the end of the day, this is also what makes Binance also the most liquid uh, exchange in the world, and it's very interesting to comment the importance of the liquidity, because professionals know, and indeed professionals, they abide to the best execution, and the best execution, you go to the most liquid exchange. Why? Because basically, if you are very liquid, the difference in prices with the bid and the ask is minimum. If the difference is very high, it's also like, let's call it a hidden commission, because when you want to sell, okay, you are gonna sell it to someone that is gonna give you less if the spread is high. So it's like a hidden commission. So we are very proud to say that we are the most liquid exchange in the world, and liquidity is what we are very proud to keep it as one of our main differentiators. And as I mentioned, since December 2017, Binance has been the leader.
That's amazing. So that's actually when I entered the industry in 2017, and I probably found out about Binance very early on. So I guess I've remember Binance from the very, very early days. In terms of like other differentiators from like Binance to other crypto exchanges like Coinbase, for instance, another one of my favorite exchanges, like what else makes Binance a little bit different and unique from these other major exchanges?
I would say that we care about everyone, in the sense that we want Binance to be everywhere. And when we mean being everywhere, means that we want to serve the retail users, no matter where they are in the crypto journey, even if they are newbies, they are new to crypto, they find a platform that is very easy to use, that is secure, and they can do things with just one click. Okay?
Right.
On the other angle, we have also a platform that if you are a institutional investors, you see that we care about the nitty-gritty and the features that matters regarding custody, regarding liquidity, regarding execution. I work with APIs. We have all the APIs fully documented, and also obviously our fees are very competitive. We are in the lowest range fees in the market. And in that front is about the value proposition that we put in the market, that we want to make things easier for the users. For example, now that DeFi is becoming more usable, we have coming from the centralized mindset of having the exchange to also include the decentralized part. So in that front, we allow the users to enter into DeFi via the Binance wallet, which is something that if you want to do it, there were other, let's say, more convoluted ways to do so. And what we want is to unify and make a more secure and easy experience for the users.
How is that actually? I mean, that's interesting to me. So basically, yes, Binance is a centralized exchange, but you're also enabling DeFi. Can you give me an example of how that actually works? Like if you have the wallet, or just what does that mean?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, what the view that we have is that basically what you have is a digital asset in your pocket with Binance, okay? And you can decide where you hold your assets. You can hold it in the exchange, okay? And in that front, if you want to hold it in the exchange, we have earn that you can get in those tokens,
Okay.
if you have it within Binance. But if you want to use or you want to make swaps in DeFi, That's why we have the Binance wallet, in which you can do these swaps in different dApps or different blockchains, depending on of what you want to do. So it's very easy because at the end of the day, you are passing the tokens just with one click. So the experience is very easy to use and very easy to understand. And we also listen to the users just to make sure that we make it available, because it's not only about making the swap, it's also about curating the right tokens, the right projects, just to make sure that the platform keeps secure.
Definitely. Yeah, that's really interesting. And we can talk more about that, but I also want to ask you about AI and crypto, and I want to get your thoughts there and if Binance is using AI at all for anything.
We use AI, but we like to use AI even more with human supervising. For example, right now, when we need to onboard the users, what we have seen is a proliferation of deep fakes doing the KYC. Okay, so think for AI, now we can use AI in order to detect these deep fakes in a minute. In this case, in a second, because it's real time based on different patterns of biometric or in the way the signal is coming. At the end of the day, without the AI technology, we couldn't do that because it's invisible to the human eye. Okay, but at the end of the day, it's very important to make sure that whatever we do is fully supervised in order to make sure that we comply. It's also about the transactions. There are patterns in the transactions that can be identified by AI that is also helping us to provide better secure in the service. So security increases with including AI into the processes.
When you say deep fakes are doing KYC, so that's just like fake users trying to be onboarded to Binance?
Correct. Is basically fraudsters now they generate personas artificially, so everything is non-real. The person, the voice, the movements, the IDs, everything is fake. So in that front, as we have data in which we can do the models and train them in order to identify, that is also what gives us edge in order to make sure that we tackle those emerging cases that we have seen in the past years.
Interesting. I wonder if that's actually becoming more like prevalent now with the rise of deep fakes, if you're starting to see more of that happening.
Indeed.
Wow. Okay. That's interesting. What is the KYC process for Binance, by the way, like for users wanting to use the platform?
So basically, when we were commenting earlier that we have 278 million users, is 278 million users KYC'd, which means that they are identified. From the compliance perspective, which is a very important aspect that we bear in mind, you need to know who your user is. And that, depending on the country, has different ways in order to tackle that process. The most spread one is basically you need to identify the person behind the laptop or the phone. Okay, so it's video identification. There are different ways in which you can do that. So you know that the person that is onboarding is the person who says that is onboarding. Okay, so you take that biometrics into account. You also take the information regarding the IDs just to make sure that the person relies and coincides with the video ID. And there are also questions regarding source of funds, source of wealth, just what is going to be the use in the platform. That's what we call KYC, is know your customer, and there is also KYB in case of the user is a business, because the process is a little bit different because the requirements are also different.
Mm-hmm. Okay, shifting gears a little bit. Out of curiosity, do you think that the conflict happening right now in the Middle East is impacting the crypto market at all?
That is a good question because crypto is open 24/7. Okay, and what we have seen is that events that happen during the weekend, the only way at a big market level that we see that how can it impact the market is through Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is becoming in the weekend like the North Star of what the markets can do. Because it's true that Bitcoin it was not so correlated with the market. From time to time, it's more correlated with the market. So in that front, Bitcoin is more sensitive now to macro level, macro events that before it was not. So as soon as we have the market operating 24/7, we will see that the impact in the market will be similar or different depending on the condition.
Interesting. I also feel like it's impacting like the euro and dollar. Right now, the euro is, as I've been in Paris now for a month, I keep seeing the euro getting stronger and stronger, which is sad for, people with dollars. But yeah, so all of that is really interesting. I know we're running low on time, so I want to know what you hope to see moving forward, how Binance plans to advance moving forward, and just getting your thoughts on the crypto space in general and what you hope to see.
So basically, our view in the market is optimistic, but also cautious, because no one knows what the future holds. But it's true that in long term, we are very bullish in crypto. Very bullish in crypto. This is not something that is coming overnight. Starting last year, January 2024, with the recognition of the ETFs in Bitcoin, then the ETFs in Ethereum. Right now, it makes sense that in the market, we have the digital assets legitimized as an asset that any portfolio manager needs to have a view on. Okay, so this is something that for the industry is very important. With the regulation, there is also clarity for the different stakeholders how to manage crypto. Either if you are a bank, either if you are a company and you want to hold it in your treasury, or if you are a state and you want to make a strategic crypto asset reserve, now is the moment in which there are going to be clarity from the different institutions, and that is good. Because at the end of the day, it's not only about growth, it's about sustainable growth. Because at the end of the day, what we need is to have crypto in the hands of everyone. And what we want also is to trespass that barrier in the sense that you don't need to know how the technology works in order to use it. Because at the end of the day, back in the day when the email started, no one was talking about the SMTP protocol, only if you were a nerd in Silicon Valley. Okay? And we are now using the mail that is making the post mail like a relic of the past, right? So what we see is that Web3 and what is coming is basically bringing what it was online into on-chain. And on-chain has more value than online.
Definitely. Okay, last question for you. You have the most amazing, Binance has the most amazing swag, and your outfit is just so cool. You've got like the Binance shirt and the little handkerchief. So if listeners want to get a hold of Binance swag, is that possible for them?
Absolutely, yes. And we do meetups all around the world.
Okay.
So make sure that if there is a meetup in your country or in your city, join us, register. We have proof of work in the sense that if you want to have it, you need to earn it.
Yeah.
But it's going to be very easy. We have different activities in our events just to make sure that everyone who comes, they can have it.
Right. I'm hoping I soon see a Binance Labubu outfit. So anyways, that's what I hope. But also, speaking of meetups and what Binance is doing, Binance Blockchain Week will happen at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And
in
where
December.
Is it? In December?
Yeah.
In Dubai or?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will you be there?
Absolutely, yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, Javier, thank you again. If our listeners want to get in touch with you, are you on social media or how can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can put Javier, Binance Spain, and I'm there.
Great. Okay. Well, Javier, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I can't wait for Binance Blockchain Week. I hope to be there and I hope to be wearing some cool swag with my Binance Labubu.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Special thanks to 4 Labs Digital for producing Web3 Deep Dive podcast. I'd also like to thank the sponsors behind Web3 Deep Dive. You can click the links in the show notes to learn more about each of the Web3 initiatives from these sponsors. Finally, thanks to the listeners for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and share.